Welcome to a new episode of Spain Today News, where you can find daily news from Spain in English. Today we're diving deep into, well, a pretty turbulent time across Spain. We're going to focus on three main areas. A major political split that's shaking the national government, some ongoing questions about how parties handle their money, and sadly, the continuing struggle against gender violence.
Yeah, and what's really striking is how these things are connected.
Yeah.
You know, what happens regionally, like in Extremadura with the budget or the political back and forth in Murcia, it directly impacts the stability of the national PSOE government.
Right. It feels like every single decision, whether regional or financial, suddenly has these huge national implications for Pedro Sanchez's government. So, our aim today is to give you the essential breakdown. We'll unpack what this Junts PSOE split really means, look at the details of how the socialists are responding to those funding accusations, and cover the urgent social crisis unfolding in Murcia.
Okay, before we get into the thick of the politics, we have to start with some critical news. The Guardia Civil is investigating a suspected gender violence death in Labrilla, Murcia. A 19-year-old woman found deceased.
Yes, and her partner has been detained. It's just a terrible situation.
The reports mention investigators had to force entry into the home.
That's right. And a really key detail highlighted in the sources is that the victim, tragically, wasn't registered in the Viogen system.
Ah, the Viogen system. That's the state's specialized protection mechanism, isn't it?
It is. It's designed to protect victims, assess risk. But she wasn't in it.
And that's the recurring challenge, right? The system is there, but if someone isn't known to it or hasn't reported, precisely.
Yeah.
It can't act proactively in those cases. And the context here is grim. If this is confirmed as violencia machista, male violence against women, she would be the 34th victim in Spain this year.
34th, that number, it's staggering.
You would bring the total since 2003, when records began, to 1,328, and it would be the second victim this year, just in the Murcia region.
Devastating. It really underscores the scale of the problem, even with the support networks available.
It does. And it makes it even more important to talk about the help that is out there. For anyone listening, or if you know someone who might need it, the support network is comprehensive. It's available 204/7.
Can you run through those resources, especially maybe the ones people might not know about?
Sure. The main one is the 016 helpline. It's free, confidential, operates in 53 languages. Crucially, it doesn't leave a trace on your phone bill.
That's vital. And digital options.
Yes, there's email, 016-online@igualdad.gov.es. And also WhatsApp. That number is 600-0000016.
Okay. And what about immediate emergency situations?
Well, obviously, there's 112 for any emergency. And the specific police numbers, 091 for National Police, 062 for Guardia Civil. But there's also the Alert Cops app.
The app? How did that work?
It lets you send a silent alert directly to the police, and it includes your location. This is so important if someone is in a situation where they can't speak or make noise without increasing the danger.
Got it. A silent alert with geolocation. That could be a literal lifesaver.
Absolutely. These tools are designed precisely for those terrifying moments.
Okay, let's shift now to the national political scene. A real earthquake here at Junts, Carles Puigdemont's party, deciding to break their agreement with the PSOE. This isn't just a minor disagreement, is it?
No, this is huge. Puigdemont announced the party leadership wants to move into the opposition. Now, the party members still need to vote on it. We should know the results soon, I think Thursday evening.
Right, ratification by the militancy. But the intention is clear.
Absolutely. And Puigdemont's reasoning is pretty harsh. He's basically saying the socialists lack the will to follow through on the political deals they struck back in November for Sanchez's investiture.
He accused them of ignoring their own weak position in parliament.
Yeah, and focusing only on power tactics for power's sake, as he put it. Basically, just trying to cling to power without delivering on promises.
So what are the immediate consequences if this break is confirmed?
Well, it's pretty critical for the government. Junts only has 7 MPs, but they were absolutely essential for Sanchez's majority. If they pull out, the government loses that majority instantly.
Which means?
It means they likely won't be able to pass the 2026 national budget. That's a massive problem for any government. Governing without a budget is incredibly difficult.
So, okay, a minority government facing a budget blockade. But this can't just be about general dissatisfaction. What specific things did Junts say the PSOE failed on?
Right, it's not just vague feelings. Puigdemont pointed to concrete failures. One was lack of access to documents related to the investigation into the Barcelona and Cambrils terror attacks.
Okay, that's significant. And the other major point, the one tied directly to the budget.
That's the balances fiscales, the fiscal balances. This is the data showing how much money flows between Catalonia and the central government. Junts says getting this data is absolutely essential for negotiating the 2026 budget and the whole regional funding model.
So, for you listening, this is key. Junts isn't just asking for numbers. They're using this demand to force a bigger discussion about Catalonia's financial relationship with Spain. Without those balances, they argue they can't negotiate fairly.
Exactly. Puigdemont basically said, we won't negotiate blindfolded while they hold all the financial cards. He also brought up the failed attempt earlier this year to transfer immigration powers to Catalonia.
And he didn't stop there, did he? He also took aim at the opposition parties.
No, he talked about the tripartite alliance of Spanishism, grouping together Vox, the PP, and interestingly, the Catalan Socialists, the PSC. He used the recent deal between the Socialists and PP in Barcelona City Council as proof they're all aligned against Catalan interests.
Wow, so it's a major escalation, really drawing new battle lines.
Definitely. It sets a very confrontational tone for whatever remains of this legislative term.
And sticking with finances, but shifting focus. The PSOE itself has been pushing back against accusations of irregular funding, this idea of a Caja B or slush fund. This came out of the UCO report linked to the Coldo case, right?
Yes, the UCO, the Guardia Civil's investigative unit. Their report flagged about 95,000 euros in expenses in the accounts of former Minister José Luis Ábalos that they said lacked documentation. The PP immediately seized on this, accusing the PSOE of running an illegal parallel fund.
So how did the PSOE officially respond to the judge handling the Coldo investigation?
They submitted a large amount of paperwork justificants, or receipts and explanations, to the Supreme Court judge, Leopoldo Puente. They claimed this documentation covers not just the period questioned, but actually a much longer time frame to show transparency.
Okay, let's break down their main defense argument here, because they're not denying cash was used, are they?
No, they're not. Their core argument has two parts. First, they say making small expense payments in cash is perfectly legal and actually quite common, not just for political parties, but even for institutions like the Senate itself.
Okay, legal and common. What's the second part?
Second, they insist that every single one of these payments was properly recorded internally and, crucially, audited and approved by the Court of Accounts, Spain's official auditing body. They also frame the 95,000 euros as a tiny fraction of the party's overall budget, especially in election years.
But, I mean, even if it's technically legal and audited, using cash for party expenses, it doesn't exactly scream transparency, does it? That seems to be the political vulnerability.
That's exactly the issue. Legality aside, the perception is problematic. Cash is harder to trace, and the KGB accusation plays on public distrust. And look, the political pressure clearly had an effect. The sources note that after all this controversy, the Senate itself actually voted to stop using cash for senators' travel allowances, specifically to improve transparency.
Interesting. So, legal or not, the practice itself became politically toxic enough to force a change. At least in the Senate, that's a significant outcome.
It really is. It shows how public scrutiny can shift norms, even if the underlying legality wasn't challenged successfully in court yet.
All right, let's pivot now to the regional level, because a lot of the national tension is mirrored there. We're looking at Murcia, where the regional president, Fernando López Miras from the PP, commented on the snap election called in neighboring Extremadura.
Yeah, Miras described the decision by Extremadura's president, also PP, as coherent. His point was, look, if you can't get your budget passed because the opposition blocks everything, calling an election is sometimes the only logical step to try and find stability.
And he pushed back against the idea that this was ordered from PP headquarters in Madrid from Geneva.
He did. He strongly defended the autonomy of regional presidents, saying the national leader, Feijóo, respects that. Miras argued that Feijóo, having governed Galicia with absolute majorities, understands that regions need to make their own calls.
But Miras didn't just defend his counterpart. He used it to launch an attack on his own opposition in Murcia, didn't he? Accusing PSOE and Vox of working together against him.
That's right. He used the term hacer la pinza, which means making a pincer movement. He's accusing the socialists and Vox, despite being political opposites nationally, of coordinating votes in the Murcia parliament specifically to obstruct his PP government.
A pincer movement?
Right.
What does that actually look like on the ground? How does it disrupt things?
He gave a specific example. He claimed they agreed to schedule parliamentary scrutiny sessions on the exact same days as his cabinet, the Council of Government, was meeting.
So basically forcing the government team to be in two important places at once.
Exactly. It's a procedural tactic designed to disrupt the government's workflow and make governing more difficult. Pure political maneuvering, according to Miras.
But despite these alleged tactics, Miras still projected an image of stability for his region, particularly on the budget front.
Yes, he defended his 2025 budget, which he managed to pass with support from Vox. He pointed out that the specific budget items negotiated to get Vox's backing amounted to less than 1% of the total budget. So his argument is he secured overall stability for Murcia through what he admitted was a frankly complex negotiation.
And finally, there was a brief mention of health services in Murcia.
Yeah, likely responding to news about issues elsewhere, Miras made a point of highlighting Murcia's performance in breast cancer screening. He stated there's currently no waiting list for screening in the region, and the maximum wait for a necessary follow-up mammogram is just 19 days.
So positioning Murcia as efficient and reliable in delivering crucial health services.
Precisely. Contrasting regional competence with, perhaps, the instability seen at the national level or problems in other regions.
Okay, let's try and bring this all together. What we've seen today is this intense political instability, mainly driven by Junts breaking their pact with the national government. That immediately throws the 2026 budget into doubt.
Yeah, and alongside that, you've got this ongoing demand for financial transparency shown by the scrutiny over the PSOE's cash payments, even when they're arguing it was all above board and audited.
And all this political maneuvering is happening against the backdrop of really urgent social issues. The terrible tragedy in Librilla underscores the need for effective gender violence protection, for the Viogen system to work better, and, as Miras highlighted, the basic need for essential services like healthcare to run smoothly.
It's that contrast, isn't it? High-level political drama versus critical, on-the-ground realities.
So looking ahead, with Junts now effectively out of the government's coalition, leaving it without a clear majority, what's the one thing listeners should really keep an eye on in the coming weeks? What's the crucial factor now?
It has to be the budget, or rather, the lack of a guaranteed budget for 2026. Because that failure immediately puts Junts' core demands back on the table with immense leverage. You need to watch how the government tries to navigate this without a majority. Keep an eye on discussions around the amnesty law's status, and especially those balances, fiscals.
The fiscal balances.
Those financial demands are going to be central to almost every political fight from here on out. The government is in a really tight spot, and how they handle these specific technical demands will define their ability to govern at all.
Thanks for following our podcast, and see you soon at Spain Today. Remember to follow us so you don't miss any news.